Hello, I just want to do a quick one on this Lagos-Calabar Highway Project that is ongoing in Nigeria right now. I've seen a lot of reviews online of people going to that particular site, especially from the Lagos angle of it and the phase of the project that's been completed so far. A lot of people, some people highly commend or recommend it, but a few others have actually called it wasteful, considering the fact that the process of awarding the contract did not follow the right process. And also the fact that um, there are other roads that supposed to be in use right now in Nigeria that are not in good state. So spending that enormous amount of money is what political, you know, leaders like Obasanjo has actually come to criticize. Anyway, before I get right into the news, if you're meeting this content for the first time, please subscribe, like, share, and keep your comments coming as well. Please subscribe to help push this content out because what we want to see is the kind of change that we want for our Nigeria, where there's safety of lives and properties, where there's accountability for everybody, where there's justice for everybody, where our politicians are brought to book when they do the wrong things. And that's what this content is all about. We want a particular Nigeria that works for everybody, not for a few individuals who will give pittance to, people, sycophants around them to support them and advocate their own cause and not the cause of the people. All right, let's get right into the story. So Obasanjo says Lagos-Calabar Highway Project is wasteful and corrupt. So this is Obasanjo responding in his 88 birthday when in his book he made mention of this. So former President Olusegun Obasanjo has described the 15.6 trillion Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway project as wasteful and corrupt. He equally slammed the President Bola Tinubu administration for spending 21 billion on a new official residence for Vice President Kashim Shettima, calling it a misplaced priority and a conduit designed to embezzle public funds. Now, to spend when they said they were doing 21 billionaire for Shettima's residence, Nigerians said no, it's not right. In a country where they were borrowing to service debt, were borrowing to pay salaries, you would then borrow to spend 21 billion to build a house for a vice president. It didn't make any sense. Plus, again, 15.6 trillion. Other kind of roles like these that have been done across the board, they don't spend monies like this, but we know the way corruption works in Nigeria. But let's read anyway. The ex-leader disclosed this in chapter 6 of his new book, Nigeria, Past and Future, where he painted the portrait and characters of chief executives at both the federal and state levels. The book was one of the two new books unveiled to mark Obasanjo's 88th birthday last week. The Minister of Works, David Umahi, had revealed that the 700-kilometer Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway will cost 4.93 billion per kilometer. 4.9 billion. So when you multiply 4.9 times 700, that will give you what the total is per kilometer, stating that the contract was awarded on a counterpart funding basis and not a public-private partnership. So what that really means in essence is a partner comes and says, okay, I'll put 30%, government, you put 70%, we will do it together. But that's what it is really. But at some point, you will see when these roads are completed, you will see toll gates on your roads because they need to get the money back again to the, counterpart funding and company, the company that, got involved in this contract. About 1.06 trillion has been released for the pilot phase, or 6% of the project, which begins at the Eco Atlantic and is expected to terminate at the Lekki Deep Sea Port. Many prominent Nigerians, including the presidential candidate of the People's Progressive Democratic Party in the 2023 elections, Atiku Abubakar, have questioned the federal government's decision to award the contract to Gilbert Chagri's high-tech construction company without competitive bidding. See, in the West, in the advanced world, and this is something I'm quite knowledgeable of, you have to, it doesn't matter what the contract is. You have to put it in the public so that people can bid on it. And then you can watch and you can listen to how they're going to get the job done. You can actually, estimate the contract. The amount, one will propose 4 point something trillion, or 21 trillion, or 28 trillion in this case. Another person will propose 20 trillion. The idea behind that is that you want to look at who's got the capability and the capacity to carry out the task. Okay. But in this case, what Atiku is saying is this: you did not actually put the bid up open. You just gave it to this particular person. When it's not a state of emergency, because you can do that in a state of emergency. If you remember the COVID season period, government had the power of emergency to say we're not going to do go bidding process. Just go get us PPE tools, equipment. Chago is believed to be Tinubu's longtime business partner and friend. So you can see where it is coming from. Literally, it just give the man the contract. That's what Atiku is saying. You're just giving the contract to your friend. You didn't even ask them to bid for it. Assessing the 2 years of Tinubu in office, Obasanjo said it appears that the game of short changing the over 230 million Nigerians will continue because everything is said to be transactional. And the slogan is, it is my turn to chop. The presidential spokesman, Bayo, declined to react to Obasanjo's criticism of his principle when contacted on Wednesday night. The former president said that the majority of those who have been opportune to hold leadership positions in the country as governors, president, ministers, commissioners, even as local government chairmen, are all ill prepared, satanic, self-centered in all, and are all out to corruptly enrich themselves, while the nation continues to wallow in abject poverty and condemnable underdevelopment. I'll pause there for a second. Just want to react to what Obasanjo wrote here. Remember recently when a former senator or lawmaker, I can't remember as a lawmaker, but as a senator, Professor Adeyeye, I think that's his name, came and talked about how Obasanjo literally wanted to bribe people to vote him to change the constitution so that he can have a third time. If you remember the story where Obasanjo wanted to have a third time, and that's what the man was trying to say at that time. So you can see how he himself also is included in this, this particular statement he made. In this sentence, the former president said the majority of those who have been opportune to hold leadership position in the country as governor's president, so he himself is included, because all of them have actually looked after their own selfish ambition, and that's what has brought Nigeria to this state where we are right now. Obasanjo said that many clamoring to be governors or lead the country in one form or the other are only interested in using their offices to enrich themselves and their cronies, and then leave the country worse than the way they met it. The former president pointed out that most of office seekers in the country would go as far as obtaining loans of billions of naira, believing that paying back from the public funds after being elected won't be a problem. It's spot on. It's spot on. Most of our public leaders, public service servants, if you check where they were coming from, and a year after they became public office holders, you can tell the difference. It stated, how do you explain the situation of a chief executive or governor whose business was owing the banks billions of naira and millions of dollars before becoming a governor? And within 2 years of becoming governor, without this company doing any business, he paid all that his business owed the bank. You remember the case of the Oando stuff? Where I think it was Oando, one of those, I can't remember, but correct me if I'm wrong, but one of these oil companies, or if it's not Oando, I apologize. But I'm thinking about a particular oil company where they said they were not making profit. All of a sudden, it's one of those ones that's related to the Tinubu, to the president. All of a sudden, boom, they're in profit. You were left to guess where the money came from. Having got away with that in the first term, he consigned to himself almost half of the state resources in the second term. It was a typical example of the goings on at the level almost universal in the country, with only a few exceptions. That's Nigeria for you. State resources are captured and appropriated to themselves with a pittance to staff and associates to close their mouths of those that could blow the whistle or raise alarm against them while in office and when they're out of office. He further noted that the ones that are criminally ridiculous are the chief executives that deceive, lie, and try to cover up on the realities and truth of actions and inactions on contract awards, agreement, treaties, borrowings, and further sales of national assets. Such chief executives are unfit for the job. they find themselves in. Typical example of ways corruption and misplaced priority are the murky Lagos Coastal Road on which the president had turned deaf ears to protest, and the new vice president of Ashija residence built at a cost of 21 billion naira in the time of economic hardship to showcase the administration hitting the ground running and to show the importance of the office of the vice president. What small minds. To address some of the challenges facing the country, the former president said that there is no need to interrogate the Western liberal democracy being. There's need to integrate the Western liberal democracy being practiced and see how it could be reviewed to reflect African peculiarities. If the West, from where the liberal democracy started, should complain about it not working well for them, we should be wise enough at this stage to interrogate, carry out introspection, internal analysis, and realize that Western liberal democracy is not working for us and is not delivering apart from the shortcomings of the operators. We should seek democracy within African history, cultural tributes, and characteristics, one that will take necessary African factors into consideration. Until we can get a better word or description for it, let us call it Afro democracy. It is from Afro democracy that we will draw up an African People's Constitution for any African that chooses to go the way of Afro democracy, which will avoid most or to all the faults we have found in Western liberal democracy suggested. So the stories, I decided to read this story because I felt that since we've been talking about corruption in our country, this sort of encapsulates how corruption is being practiced and perpetuated in Nigeria. That's why I decided to talk about it. It sort of encapsulates the idea of the corrupt practices that happens in our system. Contract awards, this idea that a sitting governor cannot be investigated because he has immunity. A sitting president, if the president knew and understood that, first of all, he could be impeached by the Senate if the Senate wasn't captured. The Senate would have actually probed to say, you cannot award, because that's their job. It is the House of the lawmakers who would have said, sorry, you cannot award that contract to for the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road. You cannot award that contract to some company without bidding. Who says that particular company is going to be the best to do the job? It's a very long road, Lagos to Calabar. Literally, you could have divided the contract into three or four, and that would have been done in a shorter time period. So one person gets the one coming from Calabar all the way halfway, the other one gets the other way from midway or somewhere and meet another part, and the other one gets that part. Before you know it, you're getting the job done within a shorter time period rather than giving it to one company and without proper bidding. He also talked about how they appropriate state funds to themselves, especially during their second term. One example is the Ayapielo. I mean, just recently, the FCT minister mentioned that they spent 39 billion to renovate, to redo a conference center in Abuja. 39 billion. That would have gone into use to fix schools and hospitals. You spent that amount of money fixing a conference center that has no value or adds no value to the lives of Nigerians or the people of FCT. Can you imagine that? This is the kind of waste we're talking about. We talk about leaders with capacity, leaders with capabilities and integrity that can do the job. Not one that said, I've spent 39 billion. You know what a 39 billion really is? To spend to do and renovate one building for a conference center because of it's an international destination for people coming to ask for money from our country. Do you understand? So again, if you're meeting this content for the first time, please like, subscribe, please. We want you to subscribe and share. And also put your comment in the comment section. Tell us what you think. Do you really support this Lagos-Calabar project? Do you think it is what Nigeria really needs right now? Do you think putting the money in other roads, considering the fact that people are dying all over the place right now because of bad roads? So we're spending so much time trying to build one particular road, while they have others that are abandoned. We're spending trillions, which obviously you can estimate that is actually over bloated, not just bloated, over bloated. Okay? So like, share, subscribe, and then leave your comment in the comment section and let other people know about this content. We must make Nigeria work. It's our responsibility. I will not leave it in the hands of politicians who will continue to ruin our nation. Until next time, God bless you. Catch you later. Bye bye.